Blog Talk Radio.
Sometimes you just have to ask yourself, what would Josh Gates do?
Answer the questions, Amanda!
I am wearing clothing, thank you very much.
All right.
You said clothing, but you didn't say pants. Let the record show.
You're listening to DT Fan Radio.
But right now, I'm really excited. I want to hear Josh's book, because I've been nagging him about it for about a year now.
That's true, you have. But for most of that time, it has not been finished. It has only been recently done. So
this is true.
In fairness, I wasn't done writing it. Okay. So I'm gonna let's see what should we read here. So there's look, as I said a minute ago. Let me just sort of preface this by saying, as I said a minute ago, it was the other part of writing the book that was a challenge is that I didn't want to write a book that was just a companion piece to the show. I didn't want it to just be like an episode guide, and because I didn't want the book to just strictly be applicable to people that were big fans of the show. I'm one of the things that we love about DT is that people are still finding the show and they're still coming to it for the first time. And we get messages from people in other countries as well who are saying, let's just come on here, and we're only in season 2 or only in season 1. So I wanted to write something that would be satisfying to viewers of the show, but also maybe have some interest to people that are into travel, or that want to hear about some travel stories of mine that aren't directly related to what you've seen on the air. So, with that as preamble, I'm going to read maybe a kind of abbreviated chapter called "Travel Will Save You," which is a chapter later in the book. You ready for this?
Nice. Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Oh my God.
Just seeing where I'm going to. I don't want to read the whole thing because it'll take too long. Where should I abridge this? Okay, I got it. You ready?
Yes.
Chapter 19, Travel Will Save You. In Cambridge, Massachusetts, there's a travel agency with a sign on the door that reads, "Please go away," often. More than just a catchy motto, this seems to me a rare piece of honest-to-God truth in advertising, a snarky suggestion that perhaps it would be best if you just left. It's a slogan I wholeheartedly support. Any of us can overstay our welcome in our own country like a too-drunk groomsman at a wedding. A scant 25% of U.S. citizens have a passport. That means that most Americans haven't seen the world's great monuments firsthand or known the blissful anonymity of strolling exotic city streets. Most people have no idea what hummus is supposed to taste like or felt the ego-busting helplessness of not being able to read a single sign in a Chinese bus station. They haven't left the country. There are, of course, many reasons for this. Not everyone can afford to travel, and those who can don't always have the time. In general, employees in the United States are granted less vacation time than citizens of almost any other Western country. Many Americans simply opt to travel domestically out of necessity, to say nothing of the fact that America truly is a diverse travel destination in its own right. But there is, I suspect, something more dangerous at work here. The 75% of Americans who don't travel abroad have any number of other excuses why. Some are scared to travel. One of the great American prejudices to reblossom in the last decade is the belief that many people in the world would love to kill us. It's rubbish, of course. There are all of about 4 places where you're likely to get your head blown off, and it's not as though you're going to accidentally wander into any of them. Nobody unwittingly plans a honeymoon to Tora Bora or finds their flight to Cincinnati suddenly rerouted through Sierra Leone. If there's one common chord that any career traveler can strike, it's this. People are pretty lovely, from Tacoma to Timbuktu. In fact, the more exotic, impoverished, and generally unseemly the location, the more hospitable the residents tend to be. And our commonalities are many. Beyond customs and norms and wildly variant beliefs, we all generally laugh, cry, and make our way along the dusty road of life in pretty much the same way. We are in dire need of a public relations campaign for travel. I'm not talking about splashy commercials for Carnival Cruises or full-page magazine ads for Sandals Resorts. We've got plenty of those, thank you very much. Nearly the entire vacation industry is hell-bent on the notion that travel is a purely escapist enterprise, that the sole purpose of leaving one's country is to drink daiquiris and plummet down a water slide with a big dumb grin. Why isn't there a marketing campaign that extols the innate virtues of wandering? The real hindrance is that we've forgotten how to travel, or more importantly, we've ceased to remember that it's good for us. In Europe, aristocratic youth were once encouraged to undertake the Grand Tour, a rite of passage that involved hopscotching across the continent, experiencing the legacy of the Renaissance and the influences of the classical world. Hundreds of years later, the cultural tradition endures in a much more bohemian packaging. It's called a gap year. Tens of thousands of backpackers take a year off before or after college to expose themselves to foreign cultures. More than an extended vacation, gap years are considered a critical part of any well-rounded student's resume. In America, most people would probably guess that a gap year is an annual jean sale at the mall. The experience of leaving one's homeland can be psychologically profound. Travel illuminates a strange dichotomy of scale. When we stand in the shadows of empire before solemn ancient temples, we feel the enormity of human history wash over us and are humbled by its magnitude. But paradoxically, the world is also revealed to us as strangely small and universal. It is impossible to watch that old familiar moon rise up over Hong Kong Harbor and not be struck dumb by the idea that the same soft light is shining down on Burbank, California. To think that when we look west over the misty cliffs of Moher in Ireland, someone on a beach in Cape Cod, Massachusetts is looking back. In an instant, we can observe the world expand and contract in one seemingly contradictory motion. To that dangerously expanding group of xenophobic Americans who seem content cleaving only to the familiar embrace of the United States, I contend that you will, on some level, forever feel unfulfilled. Seeing the world is a prerequisite to understanding one's place in it. After all, nearly every corner of this country is rife with invitations that beckon us back to foreign shores. Look around. We're illuminated by the torchlight of a giant Roman goddess in New York Harbor. Our currency is adorned with arcane pyramids, and half the days of the week are named after Viking gods. We are derivative, the star-spangled orphans of 100 civilizations before us, and like all orphans, we should yearn to understand from whence we came. Don't get me wrong. I may be an expat by profession, but I'm also a proud American. Admiring the Constitution without treading on the ancestral English homeland of our founding fathers, however, seems folly. How can some of my countrymen be so afraid of the outside world when our very democracy was born on the faraway streets of Athens and considering our great diaspora from the vast savannas of Africa? Finally, yes, travel is a hell of a lot of fun. The Club Med ads are right. There's little in our domestic routines that compares to swimming in Caribbean waters, not to mention racing motorcycles through the back alleys of Vietnam, dining on a rooftop in Marrakesh, or waking up under the canopy of the Amazon. By staying home, we're missing a grand opportunity afforded to us by those glimmering silver birds in the sky. The golden age of travel is right now. Jetting is no longer for the jet set. It's for everyone. The truth is that travel changes us, irrevocably and mostly for the better. It can nourish the best parts of ourselves like nothing else. Travel broadens our perspective, adds texture to our lives, and makes us more interesting at cocktail parties. So please, I'm begging you, go away often. There you go.
That was awesome, except for the part where my phone cut out for like 30 seconds. I think it's honestly my phone, but really that was awesome. I'm having a fangirl moment, and everyone in the chat room loves it. I am so excited for this book right now.
Great. Well, I that's the first time I've shared any of it, so I hope that you do like it. A lot of it is about, as I said, the story of how I came to host Destination Truth, but peppered in are, bits of travel wisdom and me on my travel soapbox telling people to, get out there and get excited about seeing the world.
Yeah, I definitely loved it. What was one of the lines? It was like, we're the star-spangled, what was it, orphans or something like that?
We are the something like that. I have to shut the book.
I don't know, I'm just, my brain.
I don't have it memorized yet, unfortunately.
Right, could I point out one thing, Amanda, that I don't know if it has gone unnoticed by anybody, but as his producer, I just can't let this one go by. I defy anybody to read 10 pages out of a book or whatever that was and not flub a word. You try it.
I know, that was great.
You try it.
Thank you.
And a talent unheard of.
Very nice job, Brad. Thank you.
That was really good. Well, that was really good. I know that you were nervous about that, Josh, but you did great. Everyone in the chat room is flipping out, and I'm so excited to get this book.